Cool. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. I wanted to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can share something which can help us become closer to the Supreme Personality of God and please Him and the Guru Parampara at the same time. So, let me just see. Yeah, good. So I wanted to look at the lessons, different lessons that we have been looking at in the Bhagavad Gita. After spending some time going through all the 18 chapters and identifying some lessons, we already focused again on these lessons for chapters 1, 2, and 3. So I wasn't going to go through those in any particular detail, except just recapping, I think. So in chapter 1, there were probably the most lessons that we can take. Many devotees or people ignore almost the first chapter as Arjun's illusion, but actually there's so many things to learn from the first chapter, probably more than any other chapter, in fact. One of the most important chapters in the Gita. And these are the 6 lessons that we sort of can take away. Tatarastra, seeking help. We should always be seeking help because we have huge limitations. We need to recognize our limitations and get help when we need it. Lower our expectations, especially from others, and what do we expect from others. And that was in context of Duryodhan, expecting so much from his elders, grandfather and guru. Have a mood of giving rather than taking, because having the mood of giving actually leads to happiness. The mood of taking generally it leads to disappointment and frustration and then anger. And then the 4th lesson was take time to contemplate, just like Arjun, just before the battle, asked Krishna to take the chariot into the middle of the battle, and he took time to contemplate. So we also have a lot of pressures. We're in the battlefield of life ourselves. Good to take time out just to contemplate, where are we going? What are we doing? The 5th lesson to take was to meet our challenges. The Lord usually brings the challenge we don't want right in front of us. And because He's with us, by our side, we should be confident. We should be able to meet our challenges because of Him. So with Arjun, He took him right in front of Bhishma and Dronacharya, the 2 he loved the most, and the 2 who are feared the most. And then the last lesson was watch out for the excuses not to do bhakti. If we want to look for excuses not to do bhakti, Krishna will inundate us with excuses. But if we find excuses to do bhakti, then He'll clear the way to do that. Just like Arjun found many excuses not to fight the war. So in the same way, we sort of correlated each of those excuses with excuses we sort of come up with why we cannot do our service or whatever. So that's the first chapter. And the second chapter, first thing Arjun does in the second chapter, he surrenders onto Krishna. He admits himself to not understanding what to do, and he takes shelter of the Supreme Lord. In the same way, we have to do the same, take shelter of the Supreme Spiritual Master, in our case. So the Spiritual Master is a via medium to the Supreme Lord. So we have to, if we don't have a Spiritual Master, we can aspire to seek the Lord's guidance to get a Spiritual Master, bona fide Spiritual Master. And if we have one, then we need to take shelter of that Spiritual Master to help us through our dilemma in this world. And then the second lesson was about the difference between the body and the soul, to understand that we are the soul, not the body, and to remind ourselves regularly, at least once a day, I am not this body, I am the soul. Very important to keep reminding ourselves. You keep reminding, it'll eventually sink in. Third lesson was where Krishna explains to Arjuna about his duties, both as a warrior and also as spirit soul. And this is the distinction between swadharma, temporary duties in this world. Whilst we have a particular body, we have duties that pertain to that body. So we need to fulfill those. And also the Sanatana Dharma, side by side. Sanatana Dharma is our eternal duty as a servant of the Supreme Lord. And that they go hand in hand. Of course, Sanatana Dharma is far more important, but it doesn't mean we neglect our Swadharma duties pertaining to the body. And the final thing was, lesson was to restrain the senses by nipping in the bud, because Krishna says to Arjuna, Dhyayato Visaya Pumsa, while contemplating the sense objects of the senses, the sense objects, then we get attached to them. So it's very important that as soon as any temptation comes up, we try to nip it in the bud. We get it at the source, eliminate it at the source. Otherwise, we'll get very badly entangled. Okay. So, unless there's any questions or comments on those two chapters. Oh, no, we did chapter 3 as well. So let's just quickly go through chapter 3 as well. So chapter 3, the lessons were be grateful to the Lord for everything and ask to engage in his service. Chapter 3 talks about karma yoga. And this was one of the take-homes from that, from the first theme of the third chapter, where Krishna talks about offering, no, hang on, let me just have a look at what he's talking about. He explains that the true renunciate does not abandon worldly duties, but he carries on in order to do it for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So we have our duties, we have our place in this world. We should be grateful to the Lord for everything that he's provided in order to do our duties, but also at the same time ask him to engage us in his service. Second part, or second lesson from this chapter was to offer everything, offer our bhoga, honor the prasad, because he says that those who don't offer their food to the Lord is just eating sin. And the third take from this chapter was to chant and read the Bhagavad Gita, chant the Maha Mantra. And the fourth was to follow the rules and regulations. So in the, yes, that's right. Because in Karma Yoga, he's explaining how one can actually do one duty, but not be attached to the fruits. And he's also describing the practical aspects of how we can overcome material attachments by working as a matter of duty. So from our point of view, we practice Bhakti Yoga, which will free us from the entanglements of this world. And to read scriptures to get knowledge, especially from Bhagavad Gita. It's a sword of knowledge which we can use to detach ourselves from this world. And the last theme was to follow the rules and regulations, because the theme was in life, even though I know the best course, what is it that impels me? Because Arjuna is asking, why do I have this urge to always sin? Because of lust. So we have to control this lust, and how to do that? By following the 4 rules and regulations that we have promised to do. Okay, so are there any questions or comments from the first 3 chapters? Otherwise, we'll move on to the summary of lessons from 4th chapter. Okay. Fourth chapter, the themes were as follows. One, Krishna is explaining about his nature, that he instructed this Bhagavad Gita to Vivaswan, who instructed it to Ishwaku, thank you. In that way, Arjun questions him, hang on, Vivaswan's older than you, how did you manage to instruct Vivaswan? And then Krishna explains, I remember all my births, but you can't. And he also explains why he comes. He comes to protect the devotees, destroy the demons, establish religion, and destroy irreligion. But then he makes a really phenomenal point. And he reveals the real reason why he comes, which is Janma Karma Chame Devyam 4.9. He explains that one who knows the transcendental pastimes, my birth, Janma, and karma, my activities, one who knows those transcendental pastimes does not, upon leaving this body, take his birth again in this world. And that is the most important reason why Krishna appears in this world, in order to take us back to him. So the take from that was, read the Krishna book every day, at least a little bit. Why Krishna book? Krishna's pastimes are there. And Krishna says, Janma Karma Chame Devyam. And Prabhupada has very kindly given us this Krishna book. Normally, we would have to go through all the 9 cantos before we hit the 10th canto. But Prabhupada produced the Krishna book, which is effectively the 10th canto. So that's really kind and generous of them, of him. So we have the opportunity, let's take it. Because Krishna makes that promise. Whoever understands my transcendental birth and activities will come to me. Second thing was, if we take one step towards Krishna, he would take many, many steps towards us. So this was where he was explaining different aspects, different misconceptions that are made about there are many spiritual paths, they all lead to the same destination. No, they don't. If we follow the demigods, we'll go to the demigods. And then he was addressing other aspects like how the caste system works, the class system, because he set it up. And because he set it up, it's not going to disappear. Just because we have a communist government, for example, doesn't mean the classes will disappear. You're still going to have, the intellectuals, the warriors, the governors, the businessmen, and the workers. So here the take home was Krishna reciprocates with us. So if we take one step to him, he'll take many steps to us, towards us. He'll reciprocate with us. And then there was the point about taking responsibility for our predicament. That's a really nice one. Karma. Karma is very, very intricate. If we try to analyze why this particular person had a go at me when there was no reason for him to shout at me, we'll never work it out. Because that happens a lot, right? We always feel injustice. Something's happened and we feel, why has that happened? Because I did not cause anything for that to happen. So that may be the case, but we don't know what we've done in our previous life. We may have incurred some karma, we may have done some act to deserve the reaction we're getting in this life. So instead of cursing, especially God, cursing our good luck or bad luck, etc., it's empowering to take responsibility. Yes, okay, I am suffering this. I have done something wrong in the past. I remember it, what I did wrong, or I don't remember it. Doesn't matter. I take responsibility for it and I'll deal with it. That makes us less bitter and better able to cope with our situation. And the final take from this chapter was, so the three types of action Krishna describes is karma, akarma, and vikarma. Karma is your normal duties, generally regarding good activities. Vikarma is those activities which actually are against the scriptures, and akarma is those activities which are transcendental activities beyond this world. And we want to try to do as much as we can on the transcendental platform. Finally, from this chapter, again, this point about the guru comes up, third time, right? First time was the Dharastra at the beginning. Second time, beginning of second chapter, Arjuna takes shelter of Krishna. And now Krishna himself is saying, Tadvidi panipatena. You take shelter of a spiritual master who's bona fide. He's seen the truth. He can give you knowledge. How do you take shelter of him? You serve him. You listen to him. You inquire from him. So very, very important instruction given in the fourth chapter. So those are the four to take from that. Anybody got any questions or any comments? We've gone through this in some detail already, but it's good to remind ourselves. Any doubts, anything that you think, that's not really practical, I can't put that into my life? Easy stuff. Reading Bhagavad Gita, reading Krishna book, taking a step towards the Lord, taking responsibility for where we are in our life, and taking shelter of the spiritual master. Quite good lessons to take from the fourth chapter. Fifth chapter is Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. And the take-homes from that were Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna. This is where Krishna is extending Karma Yoga, where ordinarily Karma Yoga is where you're not attached to the fruits. But Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, is where you're still doing your activity, but then you are looking at the Supreme Lord. You are looking to connect your fruits to the Supreme Lord. So you're not just detached, but you're actually attaching the fruits to the Lord. So you're becoming attached to the Lord. So that's why it's Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. So it's a little different from chapter 3. So here we were thinking, first lesson, should give some of our fruits to the Supreme Lord. Donate, if we're working, donate our salary. If we're not working, donate our time to the Supreme Lord. Give something from ourselves to the Supreme Lord. The second lesson was in regards to, I guess I can't remember that one actually. So the second theme, yes, that's right. We easily in this world get into the mentality of thinking that we are the doer, but actually we're not the only person involved in an action. We desire, the super soul sanctions, when material nature carries it out through the different devatas. So the take home from that was, when we desire something, think once, think twice, think thrice. Do I really need this? Do I really, really need this? Do I really, really, really need this? And I think by the time we've said it a third time, in most situations, the thing will not be essential. We probably come to the conclusion, actually, don't need it. This is where we're trying to control our desires. Very important to try to do that. The third theme is in this chapter, where Krishna is explaining that person who is acting in this way, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, is acting in Krishna consciousness, then he is equal to the Brahmin, to the dog eater, to the dog, to the elephant. Right? Do you remember the verse? Vinaya Sampada. Forgotten it now. Yeah, that's right. That's good. Sunichaiva Sapakecha.
Pandita
Samadashina. So if we feel any prejudice when we see somebody who's got a different color skin than we have, and we feel, oh, he must be like that, or she must be like that, then we should understand that we are in the mode of ignorance. Simple as that. If we feel prejudice against any person, let alone any animal, etc., forget that bit. But if we feel prejudice against any person because of the skin of the color of their skin, then we have to understand we are in the mode of ignorance. We're not in a good place. So if we are in that place, then we need to transcend that place. We should see everybody on their, not according to their skin color, according to their action, according to their behavior. That's a different matter, but not according to the outer covering. You can't judge a book by its cover. That's an English saying. And the fourth part was when we are stressed out, we need to see, why are we stressed out? Sit and think, why is this causing me stress? Because Krishna gives the peace formula, right? And he explains also that this world is temporary. We've come in it with nothing. We're going to leave with nothing. Of course, that's not quite true, because we come with our baggage of karma and we leave with another whole load of baggage of karma. But in terms of physical possessions, we don't bring anything, we don't take anything. So, and change is constant. But he also gives the peace formula, which is, if we regard the Lord as the proprietor of everything, then we can actually, and knowing him to be the beneficiary of everything, then we can have this sense of detachment. So if we're feeling stressed about something, then we should try to analyze, what is the reason for this stress? And if we understand our position of caretaker in this world, we're caretakers of everything that we have. Like Bali Maharaj's wife said to Lord Vamandev, when Bali Maharaj offers his head to Vamandev to take his third step, Bali Maharaj's wife said, this shows my husband is in the mode of ignorance, because even his head belongs to you. She's really, really smart, really, really advanced. Of course, the Lord was very pleased with Bali Maharaj because he offered his head. It was in his possession and he offered it. But the higher understanding is nothing actually belongs to us. Even this body belongs to the Lord. Somehow we have to look after it so that we can perform bhakti, we can perform acts which please him. So this is the 5th chapter. Very, very nice instructions from the 5th chapter. Any questions, any comments? Anybody like to disagree with anything there? Happy for you to do that. Everybody's happy? Everybody's asleep? Seriously, everybody's asleep, huh?
No, not sleep, listening.
Anything
No,
you...
Prabhu, not asleep.
Anything you disagree with, or would you like to share anything, Karuna?
I wish to ask something, Prabhuji.
Okay.
In the past, I had a problem with one of my Guru Bhai. So nowadays we are not talking to each other. So does this, will this have any bad result on on my bhakti, on my path of bhakti, or I don't know really what to do with that relationship.
Mm. It's the hardest thing in this world, isn't it, to maintain relationships? It's so hard. It's easy to make friends. It's easy to break relationships. It's easy to make friends. It's hard to maintain them.
Yeah.
It all depends on the circumstances. Prima facie, it's not a good sign. However, having said that, I can tell you in our lives, we've got so many relationship issues, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just, they just seem to come without us asking for, you know, the challenges to
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
In which case, what do? You just have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, have to take shelter of the spiritual master. With Guru Bhais and Guru Bens, if it's possible to, it's difficult, but see if it's possible to, I mean, one thing we're trying to do, to a certain degree, we've sort of had little success, is that our Guru Bhai, Guru Ben, we're trying to bring them together more, right? Through these satsangs, through the other satsangs that we're organizing with the different Maharajas. In that way, when we associate together, the ties and the bonds can grow. But where those ties are sort of broken, I remember when Guru Maharaj left the planet 4 years ago, we did reach out to as many devotees as we could to bring us together again. And it was partially successful. I think if we make the attempt, the Lord will see the attempt, he'll see the sincere effort of some sort of reconciliation or some sort of, you know, bringing together, bringing some life to that relationship. If we make an effort, if he sees the effort, if it doesn't work, well, we're not Krishna, we're not gonna be friends with everybody. There's a big illusion that I should be friends with everybody, but actually that lies only with the Supreme Lord. He's friends with everybody. He's everybody's well-wisher. So I think if an effort is made and it's not successful, well, you tried, you did your bit. Then you can be satisfied that, look, okay, it's in the wrong place. This relationship in the wrong place. Let's see if we can make it, you know, we got the same spiritual master. Let's see if we can try to mend the relationship. And if we can't, at least the effort was made.
Yeah.
But if it's gone beyond that, I think then prayers to the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
That's okay. Madhusudan Prabhu, any wise? Oh, okay. Is there? Yeah. Okay. Indulekha Maji?
Coming. Hey,
Oh,
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Good, good. Yes, yes.
No, Nabi, I've been listening. I've been listening on Kamakshi's phone today. I think my granddaughter is here and she's playing around with my phone. But anyway, yeah, I have been listening. But it's nice to go through all the lessons and review them every now and then, because there's so many lessons from the Bhagavad Gita. And I think the particular question about relationships, isn't it?
Yeah.
Relationships is what everything is based on, right from the spiritual world. And, you know, within the spiritual realm, the relationships are eternally, you can be, you know, we've seen how gopis, manjaris, and the gopas and Krishna, you know, Krishna doesn't like being on his own, actually, does he? You know, he enjoys the friendships and the relationships that he have, and they're on eternal basis, and he can reciprocate 100% positively. We want the same sort of relationships within this material world. It's not always going to work out. And we know that, you know, our eternal real relationship is with Krishna. When once we start to understand, then the relationship is based on a spiritual platform, like you said, you know, Guru Bhai and Guru Sisters. And all. But you're not going to get on with everyone, you know, and not everybody got on with Krishna as well, you know. When Krishna was here, you know, Shishupal couldn't understand Krishna and couldn't get along with him. You know, he was out there offending him, and Duryodhan couldn't relate with Krishna, and not everybody can, and because of their own personal desires. And Krishna allows that. Krishna allows the freedom and the free will of every individual soul to exercise their own free will and to relate with whoever they wanted. Everybody has a right to, but sometimes within the material realm, we're trying to have relationships which are, you know, sometimes trying to either benefit us, or we're trying to either gain somebody's acceptance, or, you know, gain appreciation from someone, and we don't get it, then we're upset. Then sometimes we're doing it to just at least even be recognized, you know. And within a relationship, if there's recognition is not there, the reciprocation is not there properly, we get frustrated and then upset and all that. That's going to happen, actually, you know. And then the relationships are actually, you know, when we do realize studying the Bhagavad Gita and all that, the relationships within the material world, we've had so many of these relationships, lifetime after, you know, we've so many, if we try to do, you know, the connections of, it'd be a massive network problem, really, you know. Where do we go? You know, I mean, like if I was connected to 1,000 Zoom sessions, even now, which one am I linking to here, there, you know, it becomes a problem. But the good thing is that even within spiritual relationships, you know, gurus, guru bhais, you know, we are all on a spiritual understanding. We have common guru. We have, like Navi, you're my God brother, and I respect you. And I'm not that I'm going to get along with you every time. There are times when you have your own things to deal with, and you are, you know, distant from me. We haven't talked for a very long time. It's this platform that brought us together. Some devotees I've got along very well. You know, there aren't many friends that I really have. Close friends that I can say, you're my friend, you know. Trikaya is one. He's not even my own guru, but at least on a spiritual platform with Prabhupada is a common grand spiritual master. We get along very well. We can share intimate things. There are only a few handful, you know, and really, if you think about it, the friendships are just, we met so many people in this world, so many, and there are only a handful that we can count that, oh, he's my friend, he's in contact with me. One friend I have, he's not even Krishna conscious, you know, but he reciprocates nicely, and I allow him to be whoever he is. You know, he's a, you know, he's a Scottish guy, but he eats meat, this, everything. But he respects me for whatever I stand for my principles, and he allows me to be who I am, and I allow him to be. But I try to make sense sometimes. But some people, you know, like that. But that's a different relationship. But within the spiritual, you know, relationships like Guru Brian, sometimes, you know, I've had to say Haribol from distance and respect and give my respect, and that's as far as I can go with them. and then you come to terms with it, and then you pray for their well-being, and you know, as a devotee, you're trying to pray for everyone's well-being, and everyone alleviates their suffering, Krishna consciousness, they remain positive. Then if you really love somebody, at the end you want to see them get free from birth, death, old age, and disease. That is my understanding. If I love someone, I love my children, so I guide them accordingly, try my best. Rest is up to them. I can just create the environment. I don't force anyone in or anything on them. Create the environment, let them be there, and the rest is up to them. And then we pray for everybody else's well-being, so they get free from birth, death, old age, disease. And if I think about relationships I've had in the past, this is a Shraddha time. We think about previous relationships. If it hadn't been for their actions, I wouldn't be here. If it hadn't been my father's actions, I wouldn't be here. So he has blessed me with a life, given me a gift, given me a material body, but I have to think of him that, he's also, in my time when he was around, I did try my best to say, hey, bro, Dad, this is Prabhupada. Well, we hardly knew anything about Prabhupada, but try to encourage. So, and he did chant, and he did, so we try our best. So in relationships, that's all we can do, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to share. But your lessons are quite amazing, and they're summarized, and I have them. And it'll be good to review them every now and then.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Indulekha Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
It's very nice that you are going through again, like a just brief review of everything. And it brought to my memory that in the chapter 2, two are my favorite verses, which really touched me. So with your permission, can I say these two verses?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's chapter 2, verse 7, where Arjuna is just giving himself to Krishna. Yeah. So here we learn that we need to have a guru, and how we need to behave toward the guru. We learn from Arjuna when he says, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prichami tvam dharma samuddacheta yakshreyasyani sitam bruhitanme shisyastyaham siddhimam tvam prapannam. So we are all confused. So we need to know about this verse and apply it in our life. This is a verse that really touched me. And here, really, Arjuna was not confused. He was in Mahabhagavata. How can he be confused? But Krishna is using him just to give us, that's a medium for us to reach him. This is the first one. And the second one is 2.23, I think, if I'm not wrong. It's about the soul. It's we honor this body, and what is this? Nainam chindanti sastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam kledanti apo na sushati maruta. So this soul, it cannot be cut into pieces by any weapon. It cannot be burned by fire. It cannot be moistened by water, nor can it be withered by the wind. So this shows us who we are really. So thank you for reviewing all this, and it is very nice to follow.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Very good. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Karuna Bandaj, on your question about relationships, I just thought about something. Like even in the spiritual world, you have Radharani and you have Chandavali, who don't really get on with each other, but they're but what they want to do is just please Krishna in their own way, regardless of what the other one is doing. So similarly, I think our common person is Guru Maharaj. So, you know, we have to just follow his instructions. We
Yes.
might not necessarily get on with everyone, but if we just
Yeah.
follow his instructions, I'm sure we'll please him. And that's all we can do. And we can just pray for the other person as well.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mataji.
Of course, the relationship with
Yes.
Ravali and Radharani is transcendental.
Yes, yes.
Because
Yeah, can I add something here?
yeah.
Sorry, can I add something? We should see who is at fault, who has committed the first offense, and we should go and beg for, like, you know, really ask for forgiveness. So try, if you, even if we are not, we just go and patch up and try to be on friendly terms, which is good, you know. It's always good. Yeah.
It's always, yeah, absolutely. But, you know, sometimes it's so deep. It's very difficult to, it's like,
I know, because we are on material platform.
yeah.
People will say, oh yeah, he's begging, she's begging. But
Yeah.
deep down, we know why we are doing this.
Yeah.
Because when we go back, Guru Maharaj will say, what happened? Why did you didn't talk to your god brother, your god sister? What are you going to tell him?
But also, if we look at Prabhupada's relationship with his godbrothers, you could say, you know, they didn't get on. But Prabhupada always maintained that don't try to judge our relationship. It's on a transcendental level. So on the surface, it looked like they weren't getting on, but actually there was a transcendental reason behind it, which we don't have access to that. So we're not going to get on with everyone. On the other side, of course, like you said, it's important to try to mend. If it's possible to mend it, at least make the effort. At least make the effort and see where it goes. Sometimes, you know, the reasons are beyond making an effort, and I understand that there are certain relationships, like Guru Maharaj has rejected some of the disciples he took, in which case, you know, you can't mend that relationship. There's nothing to mend because Guru Maharaj has made that decision, so we can't interfere with that decision. So it can be situations like that, but anyway, we can just try.
Yes, thank you.
We can do one more chapter, maybe, I think. Let's have a quick look. Yeah. Wonderful chapter, chapter 6, where Krishna in the beginning explains about the mind can be the best friend if it's controlled, or worst enemy if it's not controlled. And of course, in this world, the vast majority of the people, the devotees, us, minds are not generally under control. So first exercise is to observe that we are not this mind. Very important to understand we are separate from the mind, and the mind can lead us in a direction which does not help us from the spiritual point of view, and we need to try to check this mind, control this mind. And then Krishna talks about how the yogi, you know, he sits in a certain position and he's fixed. His concentration is, you know, very steady, strong. He doesn't eat too much. He doesn't eat too little. He doesn't sleep too much. He doesn't sleep too little. So the take from that was we try to not eat too much or too little, sleep too much or too little. That was a very practical lesson, actually. Third one was practicing the controlling the mind with the chanting. So, because that's where Arjun said to Krishna, after Krishna explained the process of Dhyan Yoga, he said, no, can't do it. It's easier for me to control the wind than the mind. And the Lord said, yes, you're right, but it is possible because you can control it by practice and detachment. So we want to practice controlling the mind with chanting. And we're very fortunate because we can chant loudly and our mind, we can engage in hearing or thinking about Krishna. The third lesson was when Arjun asks Krishna that what happens to that yogi who doesn't make it? He's lost. He's in both worlds. He's detached from this world, so he's lost this world, and he can't make the next world, the spiritual world, so he's lost that as well. So he's nowhere. And the Lord then assures him that no, one who does good will never see wrong. One who comes towards me, he will never lose his bhakti. He'll be born in a family where he can continue with his Krishna consciousness. So the Lord is very magnifies our contribution. He never sees our bad side. And this is the thing with the Lord and Guru. Only two people can do this. Most people will see good and bad. Some people will just see the bad in somebody. You know, they won't see anything good in anyone. But what does Krishna do? Do a little bit of bhakti, and he magnifies it. And he's so amazing. It never gets lost. If you see what Krishna's doing, Putana comes and offers him poison. He accepts it as milk. He magnifies her contribution of poison into milk, and he promotes her into the spiritual world. How incredible is that? Agasur, at the end of his life, he had just a little desire. He just had a little thought. Wow, these coward boys, they're coming into my mouth. They look so happy. Wonder what it's like to be with Krishna, being so happy. That was it. Krishna killed him, promoted him to spiritual world. Sure. So it's said in Vrindavan, Krishna doesn't follow any rules. Outside Vrindavan, usually these demons will merge with the Lord. But in Vrindavan, he gives them his personal service, even though they're demons. So Krishna is something else. And then Shishupal keeps insulting. But what does Krishna do? He converts every insult into a compliment. Only Krishna can. Somebody insults us, we'll be thinking about that for days, weeks, months, years. There was one Muni, I can't remember his name now. He met another Muni after 7 kalpas, right, which is a long time. And the only thing he said to that other Muni was, I remember you insulted me 7 kalpas ago. And here's Krishna, insult after insult. He just takes him as a compliment. But then Shishupal makes a mistake of insulting Sahadev. And then Krishna acted. So this is the Lord. And the final lesson from chapter 6 was Bhakti Yoga is so easy to follow. We have so easy access to Bhakti Yoga. So any other yoga that we may try to think about, forget it. Bhakti Yoga is so easy, so pleasurable. It pleases the Lord, but it also pleases us as well at the same time. There's nothing like it. So, and we're very fortunate in Kali Yuga, Krishna has given us easy access to Bhakti Yoga. So that was chapter 6. I think we can stop there. And are there any comments, any questions? Everybody's happy, as happy as can be. Anybody like to share anything, any experience that you've had? Perhaps you put something in practice and it worked or it didn't work.
Yeah, Haribol Nabi, this last week. Yeah, my brief comment anyway. Now, I'll be going, I've got to go and drop my granddaughter away to her lesson in a minute. So, but it's been good, reviewing some of these lessons. And like I say, my final comment is going to be whether it's relationships. Krishna is saying, your mind is your best friend. If you know, or it can be your worst enemy.
Mm.
That's the relationship you got to have with your own self to start with, your own mind. And then let there be peace, you know, with others, see how it works out, you know.
I like that.
So that's my comment, you know, that this particular chapter where you're saying about the mind is difficult to control, but it's like, you know, controlling the fast flowing river. You know, you can't just put a blockage, you know, you got to put if you're going to divert it, you got to put another channel, let the water get diverted in a safe way, in a different direction. But, or, you know, you just can't control it. So it's better to divert it and then engage in Krishna's service, in Krishna's pastimes, in Krishna's Sankirtan, like we're doing now, you know, engaging our mind in discussing about bhakti and associating with devotees, like-minded, again, minded, you know, the mind again. So that's the relationships, you know. So once we start to relate with our own selves as well, then we'll be able to relate with everyone around us as well. That's my fine comment anyway. Yeah. Did you want to say something? What you wants to
Horrible. I don't want to be long-winded, but I will say, yes, going through all that turmoil of relationship in the be it in the congregation or temple or whatever. Yes, I've gone through it. It is up to us to be strong and say, whatever it is, whatever hurdles, get over it and focus on Krishna. And that's how I've survived. So to the lady who was talking, I felt for her because it's not easy, but focus on Krishna and pray for the personality who is who's giving hard time or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Don't want to say too much, otherwise there'll be an hour gone.
Yeah, maybe we should have a session on relationships.
Well, I think the learning curves for the newcomers or the ones who are getting into Krishna consciousness, and I think sometimes it is good to discuss things like that so people are aware that it is not just hunky-dory, it's not easy, right, for anything, like in any part of life. So yeah, I thought I'll just butt in and just say what I felt as well. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, usually there's a thought that, oh, you know, this person is godly, so everything must be absolutely perfect in their life. But actually, when you take to Krishna consciousness, somehow things just go so topsy-turvy. Krishna really puts you through the grind mill.
I think the test in itself, when you get through that, Krishna puts you in it, and obviously is observing how quickly you get out of it or how much you dwell on it. So I think it's over like mind over matter as well. If you get good guidance and just focus on Krishna, I think it's achievable.
I think sometimes what happens is the mind really plays tricks, and it focuses on one aspect of our life which may not be going very smoothly, but the mind just focuses on that to such a degree that it takes over. Yeah, it forgets all the good aspects in our life, and it replaces it with that one thing.
Breaks you down.
I'm not talking about relationship. I'm just talking about something which I've realized recently, that actually that thing that is not so good in my life doesn't really matter, because there's so much goodness, so much positive things I need to dwell on, thanking the Lord for everything He's provided. And just as you, Kamakshi said, get on with it, you know, focus on the Lord, just get on with it. So that's, and I like to thank all of you, actually, because of you, we are able to, you know, we're able to learn and then present. And this is really unique for us. It's just fantastic. It's just given us new life, you know. So thank you, everybody. And that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you. Karuna, you can stay on the line and we can do the